the way that this story blew up so quickly, I feel like this was a calculated attempt to try to go after Donald Trump aggressively.
Oh boy, there's some interesting situations playing out right now in the media. One of them, and I think the more we focus in on this, the more we're doing what they want us to do. But I don't want it to seem like we're avoiding this case, avoiding this situation. And it has to do with this dinner. I mean, Clay, you want to talk about this, right? This dinner at Mar-A-Lago with Trump. I will. You know what? I'll let you set it up, and then I want to give because my basic inclination of these things is I hate the do you denounce? Do you denounce this person game? It's also like, people go every time you and I have been at Mar-A-Lago. Trump is like high-fiving and hanging out with people all over the place. There are literally hundreds of people that are coming and going. It is a club. Yes, it's a private club, but people bring guests and everything else. But I hate the do you denounce game because it's always really just a version of when did you stop beating your wife, right? But tell everybody what happened, just because I don't want us to get caught up in the why are you guys afraid to talk about it? Not afraid to talk about it, just not top of the list.
So, yes, let's start here. There are lots of times, Buck, where you or I, and we are way down on the celebrity scale, pose for a photo or shake someone's hand, and we have no earthly idea who those people are or what they might have done in the past, right?
We're so far down the list that it actually really makes us happy. Like, it makes my day when people come up in the airport like, hey, from the Buck and Clay and Buck show, like, you're awesome. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. For Brad Pitt, it's an annoyance. For Clay and I, we're like, I must be having a good hair day.
I love getting to meet all of you out there. But every year and every election cycle, there are stories, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Did you see this candidate shook hands with this person or posed in a photo with this person? And I have to tell you, most of the time, you're just trying to be friendly, and I know certainly politicians are doing the same. They have no idea who they are meeting with. Okay, so I actually do believe that Donald Trump got completely and totally set up for this story. And if you're not familiar with the story, Kanye West asked to meet with Donald Trump. Kanye West came to Mar-A-Lago. He brought this guy with him who is, I'm going to be honest, I had never heard of him. Buck, you said you had heard of him before, this guy.
Yeah, he's occasionally popped up here, and they're really just on social media, and people call him a troll, and he showed up, and he said he's kind of like been a provocateur at some events, but I've heard of him before, and I've never met him, never seen him anywhere.
Never met him personally. Like, I didn't know anything about him. So I feel like the way that this story blew up so quickly, I feel like this was a calculated attempt to try to go after Donald Trump aggressively. I think Kanye West may well have set him up in some way.
But do you think I think that people set Kanye up, or rather use Kanye as the Trojan horse here to bring in the other people. I think Kanye's got problems.
Unfortunately, I think Kanye's got big problems. But this whole meeting and the fact that it somehow turned into a monstrous story that everybody on the planet seems to be talking about.
Did we tell everybody what happened, though, yet? I'm not sure even our audience knows what happened.
So, I mean, basically, he went to dinner at Mar-A-Lago with this guy who is an anti-Semite, according to the definition. Again, I don't even know this guy. Like, most of the time,
they call him a
opinion.
White nationalist anti-Semite. His name is Nick Fuentes. And then there's Kanye and Milo Yiannopoulos, whom I actually know back from the early days of Milo. I had him on my early days radio show when he was working at Breitbart. So, and then Milo had a fall from the spotlight. I don't even really remember what it was about. But so it was Kanye, Milo, Fuentes, and I think one or two other people, and I can't even remember. A lady who at some point had worked with the Trump campaign named Karen, I believe. But that's who was at the dinner, I think.
Okay, so the fact that he had dinner with Fuentes in particular has turned into a major cultural flashpoint. And it rapidly spread from, oh my goodness, he had dinner with this person, to every Republican on the planet being asked for their opinion about who Trump had dinner with. And it has prolonged the news cycle to the extent, Buck, where it feels like basically it's been going on all week. And my position on this in general is, yes, certainly Trump can do a better job, and the people around Trump can do a better job of figuring out who he's dining with and who he's interacting with and all these things. But it feels like a calculated hit job to me on Trump, designed to, and who exactly is designing it?
Do you have? I don't have a theory.
No, I mean, I feel like that is my takeaway. And if you are a Trump person, I don't see any reason why you would be like, oh, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I can't support him anymore.
So here's what I see from my side of this. And I'm openly hostile to caring about celebrities outside of what it is that they generally do. Meaning, I think that celebrity relationship, gossip stuff is a giant waste of everybody's time and makes everybody dumber. I have watched a little bit of The Crown, which ties into the royal family.
I told you this was going to happen.
I have a fiance, Clay. I have responsibilities, sir.
I told you this is going to happen. Every woman on the planet has watched at least one episode of The Crown.
But I'm still openly hostile to these concepts, I will say, of caring about
love the
other
royal
people's
family. I'm very much involved in the drama. I love all of it.
Anyway, but with Kanye, he actually has gone beyond being a music and fashion and cultural icon to also crossing over a little bit into politics during Trump's first term, or Trump's term. And now, obviously, he's a guy who's back in for saying a lot of bad stuff. And the reason I say it that way, I'm not trying to in any way, what's the word I'm looking for, downplay it. It's just, I think he's having a mental, I think it's like the Will Smith slapping somebody moment, except Kanye is kind of going through that ongoing, where he's having real mental health crises. So my sense of this, and I don't pay very much attention to, I don't know these other characters, is that they see a guy who has a massive celebrity and is immediate clickbait, really, right? I mean, anything with Kanye's name on it as a headline, people are going to click on, and they attach themselves to him and come up with this idea. And look, now people are talking about them all over the country. I do get the frustration from people who say, well, why? Like, no one should talk about this incident. I only think it's worth discussing from the standpoint of, one, Trump now has apparently said that, he thinks this was a bad idea.
And he thinks he got set up.
Yeah, he thinks he got set up. But beyond that, we have to stop playing the games by the other side's rules. They love this. Do you denounce? Like, what? Kevin McCarthy is denouncing this. What?
Mitch
Trump
McConnell
obviously doesn't know who this little weirdo is that was tagging along for the dinner. Like, has no idea.
That's my point on this.
Yeah, of course. And so it's not like Trump is putting his stamp over, and they've lied about Trump. They lied about what Trump said about Charlottesville. They lie about Trump all the time. And on top of all this, you get all these Republicans who are rushing to get a little pat on the head from the New York Times for 1 second for saying, oh, I denounce this, and this is terrible. Did they denounce things? Hat tip Mike Cernovich, who pointed out on Twitter that, Barack Obama never was demanded to denounce the photo of him with Louis Farrakhan,
no doubt.
buddy, right?
Yeah.
So why do we do it? I hate this. People go, oh, I'm so scared. They're going to call you a racist anyway, everybody. They're going to what happens when you denounce, they say, well, clearly he felt guilty for his ideological sympathies. That's why he wanted to denounce it. This is like dealing with the gulag and the commissar sitting there saying, confess or we'll throw you in the gulag anyway. There's no upside.
I think you're responsible for your own actions and your own behavior. I don't like the idea of you're responsible for someone that you took a photo with, or you're responsible for someone at a group dinner that sat at your table, right? And every political opinion that they have automatically imputes itself to you. But in this particular situation, where I do agree with Trump on the setup aspect of it is, nobody knows this dude, right? Like, by and large, there's no people at the Washington Post. He's 24 years old. He's got his own political opinions. I'm sure that I disagree with the vast majority of them if he's truly an anti-Semite. But the idea that this guy is such a significant political figure that Trump was making some sort of calculated attempt to turn his back on Jewish supporters, or that it's an insult that everybody in the whole political arena needs to be responding to. This is where we 100% are in agreement, Buck. We got to stop this game, right? If Trump comes out and says something and you disagree with it and you're a political figure, I think that is 100% fair game. That's literally what politicians do. They give you ideas and we debate them, and you're either for or against them. Who happens to be showing up for a dinner at a table that the guy didn't even know that he was going to be there, and somehow you're commenting on this? I just think it's a mess.
This isn't like, George W. Bush isn't at a bumping members-only club every night with hundreds of people. So this is a different context. These people are going to say, well, you should do a better job of who you have dinner with. Okay, yeah, obviously this slipped through and this was unwise. I'm not going to sit here and say that, clearly they've used this to attack him all week now. It's been
yes.
This didn't just happen. I think it happened. What was last Friday?
It's been
right?
an entire week's news cycle. That's
CNN,
certainly true.
I'm at the gym, and the gym, I will tell you, when I'm in the Florida gym, the New York gym, it's CNN all the time. Florida gym, Clay,
Fox
News on.
You're in the
at least
People's
half and
Republic.
half.
I mean, you are in the red state America now, brother.
Yeah, and I'm spending more time here in the winter because I like it down here in South Florida. Anyway, but I'm back up to New York sometimes, and so I see the difference. It's amazing. You could tell it's 50-50 CNN, Fox News. CNN's been running with this story like it's the biggest story all week. Trump has dinner there, and I don't even. The fact we've been talking about it is some level of frustration, but it's been such a story that everyone else is using to attack. They're forcing us on some degree of defense here. And I don't even think like Trump shouldn't have to defend himself from this in the sense that he has
all
dinner.
The things that Trump does, this seems to me to be so far down the list of things that he's actually responsible for.
And
if you want to go after him,
son-in-law is Jewish and his daughter converted to Judaism. What are we even talking about?
He moved the embassy. I'm not sure there's anybody who is more beloved in Israel in all of American politics right now than Donald Trump. He's clearly not anti-Semitic. If you want to go after Trump because you don't like the statement that he put out about Ron DeSantis or Glenn Youngkin, like those are very attackable to me level disputes and debates that people can get involved in. But the idea that this has turned into a week-long story, to me, is evidence that it feels like, to me, somebody was trying to set Trump up.
I just want to point out that the thing about Mar-a-Lago is Trump is there. He eats dinner. They have him kind of roped off sometimes with Secret Service, but he's just out there. And there are all these people who are there, and they come over. They want to shake his hand. They want to take photos of them. People join him ad hoc. And this is night after night after night. So it's not, Trump is almost like a restaurateur, and people are coming and going from his restaurant all the time. So when you think of it in that context, it's much more understandable how this kind of thing, how often do I sit down and have dinner with like 3 random people? Well, never, but I'm not running Mar-a-Lago. I don't own it, so it's different.
I also think, Buck, to the bigger picture here, intent matters, right? If you're going to criticize somebody, make sure that they are intending to do something, right? There was no intent here on Trump's behalf. Like, that's why I say if you want to rip some of these public statements that he puts out about, like I said, Ron DeSantis, Glenn Youngkin, whatever else, those are fair game. But he didn't intend to sit down to dinner with this guy. Now, if you want to criticize his staff and say, oh, they've got to do a better job of figuring out every single person's background who was sitting at the table with him, I would also say this. This is the celebrity angle. Kanye West, whoever the people are.
He's a global celebrity, and Trump loves celebrities.
But he's got an entourage, right? I'll give you an example. At the Super Bowl 2020, Deontay Wilder is the heavyweight champion of the world. We were doing a show with him. 20 people rolled in with Deontay Wilder. 20 people, Buck. Like an entourage, the likes of which I have rarely seen. We got pictures taken with everybody in that entourage. We hung out with him. I have no idea what any of the people in Deontay Wilder's entourage do for a living, what backgrounds they have. Yeah. The celebrity culture, I don't think it's uncommon. If you roll into a Hollywood club or if you're at Mar-a-Lago or you're in any of these places, the entourage, nobody knows who's involved in the entourage.
And it just, but on the Republicans, because that's the other part of this too. I think we could have ignored it, except all these Republicans, Kevin McCarthy, now the soon-to-be House Majority Leader, all these Republicans are, it's so terrible, and I need to. No, we don't. We have nothing to do with white nationalists. We have nothing to do with anti-Semites.
Everybody condemns them.
Idiots.
Yes,
everyone hates them. Like, don't do this thing. and that's what the part of this that frustrates me is we play by the rules the other side is using in bad faith to create news cycles to undermine our team. And also, I'll say this, man, to your point about legitimate versus illegitimate criticism of Trump from within the right, a lot of people see this and they see what other Republican elected officials are doing, and they're saying, this is actually why we need Trump, because these guys are cowards. Because the first moment they get any pressure and anyone says, but he's you don't want to be called a white nationalist or an anti-Semite, they run for cover. It's like, well, there's no reason that you should be called those things because you're not. So why are you being a weirdo about it?
Just tossing this out, too. Generally speaking, you would not expect for a guy in Kanye West's entourage to be a super racist.
You wouldn't expect a white nationalist. That's right. That's not.
I mean, I think it's not crazy for Donald Trump to expect that a black guy is not rolling around with white supremacists.
And they call Trump. I mean, to be fair, also they've been calling Trump a white nationalist for years. They say crazy stuff all the time.
Exactly. But anyway, I thought we should talk about it because I've been talking about it for a week, and I actually think Trump is getting attacked here in a way that isn't justified based on the facts.